I have now spent 3 years locking the in. I've lost well over 100 pounds, I've kicked multiple addictions, and I've drastically improved my financial situation. What I've noticed is people will tell you how to lock in. They'll tell you what to add to your life and what to remove. But most of them completely ignore the drastic hurdles that stop you from maintaining that discipline for the rest of your life. Anyone can get locked in for 2 months, 3 months, a year, even two. But getting locked in is all about self improvement that lasts a lifetime. But there's hurdles along the way that will stop people from becoming the person they're supposed to be. And so this is what I've learned. The chart of locking in looks like this. This is the reality. You consistently improve over time, your life gets better and better and better, and you improve. As humans, it is ingrained in us that we need to improve. We enjoy the journey as much as we enjoy the result. We constantly need to get better. It fuels us, it keeps us living, and it makes us feel fulfilled. But once you start to improve, especially when you've had an unhealthy diet, you've had substances in your life, and you've had mental disorders, depression, anxiety, when you transition out of that phase, you start to live life in a way that you never thought possible. You start to see yourself differently, and you hold yourself to a higher standard. But the issue happens when you make those transitions, all of a sudden you feel like you're on top of the world. And the chart instead begins to look like this. As your perception of yourself gets higher and higher, maintaining momentum at the same speed feels like going backwards. And as humans, when we go backwards, it severely demotivates us. And that is the most difficult hurdle in the long-term locking in adjustment, something that I've struggled with heavily, because you start to doubt yourself. One of the biggest fears when you first overcome those struggles is, what if I go back? And even when you are constantly improving, the first original changes were so drastic and so rewarding that once you just start to maintain that level of improvement, and it's not a drastic jump, you start to feel like you're not going anywhere. And you get to a point where you feel like maybe you just give up, because if you're not going anywhere, then why even try? And this is where my shift of looking at time as an exponent of results and not a measurement of duration has helped me. But then there's times where that's zero help. There are multiple of these stages along the way, and each one hits like a truck. It feels depressing, it feels fearful, it feels anxious, and you're just worried, because the biggest fear of all is not just stopping momentum, it is plummeting downward and reversing everything. It is my personal biggest fear. And we're left at the stage where we can decide to continue to put one foot in front of the other, maintain our own momentum, or just give up, accept failure, accept the place that you're at. You already made drastic changes and improvements. I mean, hey, you can live a little, you can relax. And that's terrifying to me. Because when the world is looking at you as if you've done nothing, you've wasted your time, people around you are wondering why you're still doing the same things, and you're kind of wondering it too, then you're left with one option in my eyes. And that is double, triple, quadruple down. Maintain your momentum, give it everything, put all your eggs into that basket, because you cannot afford to lose. Once you have made the initial change, you've shown that you can do it. Those initial changes are so difficult and dramatically life improving. But long term is this spread out horizon of difficulty, mental struggle, and questioning yourself. And questioning yourself is one of the most detrimental things. But if you can just have the tiniest ounce of delusional self-belief, I promise you it will carry you to new heights. And when you look at this chart, sure, it feels like you're moving backwards at times, and it can be so mentally, it can destroy you. It can. Because when you feel like you're moving backwards, it breaks you down. But the truth is, it is still exponentially better. 10 million, it is so much better than living the life that most people live. I fear being stuck in the trap that other people are. I fear not having freedom. I feel not holding myself to a higher standard. And I question that daily, if I will stick to it, if I will be able to maintain the path I am on. And I question it. But that is part of the process. And the biggest thing I learned is that without that questioning, without that struggle, without the years of putting something into it, without any results, then you just never will actually experience the gratification of the results. If you aren't where you want to be, then there is something else you need to learn and something else you need to do. But what you cannot do, what I beg you to not do, is give up. You cannot give up on yourself, because how are you going to look everyone else in the eye and tell them what they should do? How are you going to help them if you gave up on yourself? If you're going to tell yourself you're going to show up to something every day until you reach a goal and you give up, how the hell are you going to do that? Because if that was someone else in your life that told you they would be there and they weren't, you would not speak to them. You would not be a part of their life. But for some reason, people think it's okay to do to themselves. Life is difficult. Life is struggle. We're hit with these life catastrophic changes constantly. But as we continue to attack them, to build on them, to defend ourselves and build ourselves into a person that can handle these challenges, we realize locking the fuck in is all about changing who you are. Sure, there are steps and processes you can implement, but it's about you being the type of person that stands up and says, I will not quit. I will not fail. I will just keep continuing to chase my goal, because that is the only thing that will make me the person I want to be. If you can look yourself in the eyes and say, I did not quit, that is the most rewarding thing to me, more than anything else. Because everyone else will think you're failing, and you might too at times. But when you keep working towards your goal, it becomes a question of when and not if. So keep chasing that goal. I believe in you, delusionally, even if you don't. I have spent years studying what it takes to become a UFC champion, with the hopes that I could implement those steps into the success of my own life. And what I found is I can narrow it down to just 3 things.
If someone did it, I also can do it. And if no one did it, I can be the first one to do it.
I've lost my mind doing this game, yeah? Like Vincent van Gogh. He dedicated his life to his art and lost his mind in the process. That's happened to me.
The first aspect is the initial spark that starts the journey to becoming a champion. The second aspect is the crucial, non-negotiable, widely understood aspect that starts the building blocks of becoming a champion. And the third aspect is the most crucial, the final driving point that takes it home to be an undeniable UFC champion. To start off with number 1, to become a champion in my own life, I realized the initial heart and ambition all comes from a purpose and a desire. Now, for a UFC champion, that is to fight, and usually to be the best. And once they desire being the absolute best, they lose it a little. They go crazy because they have a mission.
Well, fuck it. And that gold belt is around my waist. And my mother has a big mansion. And my girlfriend has a different car for every day of the week. And my kids have everything they ever want. Then it will pay. Then I'm happy I lost my mind. Yeah?
And what I've realized with many people, including myself in the past, was that I didn't have a direction, I didn't have a purpose, I didn't have a mission, so I had no ambition and drive. I had no heart. And when I realized this, I was able to pick a direction and go for it, and realize that I did have something in my life that had meaning, and I wanted to chase something more. And once I had the ambition and drive, I was able to give up things that were holding me back. And with a UFC champion, it's different, but same.
So,
If you want to have an extraordinary life, you have to be an extraordinary person, right?
yes.
Now, some of us are lucky enough to be born with this ambition and drive, but many of us just don't have it, especially when we're poisoned by our food that we consume, especially when there's drugs and alcohol in the mix, and there's things that distract us and keep us from picking a direction and finding a mission. And for those of you that haven't found it yet, You have two options: sitting down, taking the time to really find what you want your meaning to be, or you can wait for it. But the trade off is if you try to actually figure it out, if you are proactive about finding your direction and your ambition and your meaning, then you're guaranteed to find it if you keep just searching for it. But if you wait for it, you might be lucky enough to get it. It might hit you in the face, but a lot of times that takes getting to a low enough level, falling far enough into the hole that you decide to make a change and figure out what matters to you. So I would suggest trying to find your meaning, pick that direction, and give it your all. Have the ambition, lose your mind to it. You'll be satisfied in the end.
Anything can be achieved, and it can be achieved like that.
Now, number two, it's the non-negotiable building blocks for literally anything, but definitely for becoming a UFC champion. And that is repetition.
What you do in your daily habits, it what makes the difference, right? Because we can decide our future, but we can decide our habits, and our habits decide our future.
Consistently, over time, and maintain that through the struggle, through the hardships. And that really is it. If you can show up every single day, you're already going to be better than 99% of people, because almost nobody will consistently continue to do it day in and day out.
You want to become best, you want to become champion, and now you want to say like you tired. Who cares? You tired or not? Nobody cares.
And that's the most basic thing for obtaining anything in your life in reality. And so when I looked at needing to make changes in my own life, when I gave up drugs and alcohol, when I lost the weight, that was the most important thing. And I was able to copy a UFC champion's mindset to implement that in my own life, because it's just repetition. It's just repeat, repeat, repeat. Now, while step number two is the most difficult to implement in your life, it does something very, very special. It, of course, makes you realize that you can get good at something and show up every day. But what it really does is creates confidence. You start to believe in yourself. And now we get to aspect number three. This is delusional self-belief. It is the law of attraction. It is believing in such full faith that you will obtain your goal, that you manifest it into reality.
Key to living the law of attraction. Some good shit. Some good little quotes and all like that. I like reading. Let's just grab them anyway. Constant repetition carries conviction. Some good shit, isn't it?
Every single successful person has this, and every single champion has this. And if you're sitting there saying that's just a mindset gimmick, maybe you're one of those
because I only believe in science
type of people. Well, if you only believe in science, the placebo effect has been scientifically proven for 70 years, with observations dating as early as the 1700s. So if that's not scientific proof enough for you, I don't know what is. And if you're not familiar with the placebo effect, it's simply a control group in an experiment that isn't under the influence of a mechanism or drug, but still feels the effect as the group that is, because they believe they are on something. And that shows the power of the human brain. If you believe it to be true, it might as well be true, because you'll manifest it into reality.
What are you envisioning now as far as the way the fight goes?
I'm gonna finish him in the first round.
You say that to me like I say I'm going to get a coffee.
Well, he's already busted up. Oh! Out cold.
A man of his word.
Oh my goodness.
And
He
now
called
the
it.
new
He
UFC
called it.
lightweight champion.
And if you think that believing in yourself is some cliche saying, well, that's because it's been observed as true for 300 years. Since the 1700s, we've acknowledged this. Well, that's great. Because if I want to be a champion in my own life, just like a UFC champion in their fighting careers, I have to pick my direction. I have to make sure it matters to me, find that ambition, find my heart, find my drive. And then I just show up every day. And that showing up every day creates the delusion in my head that I'm going to succeed. And then that drives home me succeeding. How wonderful is that? All of a sudden, life is a gift. It's no longer this curse of fulfilling some meaningless duty every single day and not being happy. If you can find that purpose, then I urge you, go out there, get the fuck after it. All you got to do is find something that matters to you, that gives you fulfillment deep inside. Then act every day. And then start to believe in yourself. And that just happens once you show up every day. And when I realized this, I realized that, well, it's just a matter of time. It's inevitable. As long as I believe, as long as I have meaning, as long as I act, I will obtain my goal. And I get to look forward to that every day. And you can too. If you don't believe yet, just keep going, because I believe in you.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
Don't you want a little taste of the glory?
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
I said I'd knock him out in the first round, and I knocked him out in the first round. You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
If you could be a superhero, like which superhero would be?
Nate Diaz.
Diaz gets the mount. My goodness! Now he's got the back. Now that's it. He's got the shot. Nate Diaz. He has done it. It is all over. Nate Diaz beats Conor McGregor. Oh!
Man, I wish I did not give up on myself. I wish I did not give up on myself. I spent so many years allowing the excuses to control my life. I let them tell me it's okay. Rest. Life is brutal. Rent's way too expensive. Jobs pay way too little. Just sit around. Enjoy yourself. It got me nowhere. Actually, it just drove me down more and more. Please, don't follow in my footsteps. It took one day just deciding to put one foot in front of the other. Literally, start running a little to change my course forever. And so the smallest action can change the course of your life forever. Now I've changed. I've given up everything that was tearing me down. And I've built myself into a different person, which means you can too. The difficulty is people will sit there and they'll tell you, oh, you're young, you've got time. Enjoy yourself. Life is about having fun, feeling good. That's what I thought for years. I allowed my head to be filled with that. There is no time. There is no tomorrow. I realize that now because the years I spent destroying my life, I missed endless opportunity and I took years off of my life. If there's people around you telling that, you cannot listen to them because there is no tomorrow. Every single hour you miss is missed opportunities. People love to say that success is all about just luck. People who are successful, they just got lucky. The more volume you put in, the more you negate the possibility that you need luck. And the more volume you put in, the more you believe that you will obtain your goal. I believe I'll obtain my goal, and I believe you will if you will just change your mind into believing it as well. Because the human mind is so inherently strong. It is the greatest weapon we have ever encountered because it will achieve anything it thinks it can. And once I realized this, I changed my life forever. I started to build things. I started to become better at everything. And so I built myself, and I all of a sudden believed that I was going to achieve. So I found this one thing I was good at. And then I got better at it and better at it, arguably one of the best in the world. And then I chased this career revolving around it. And all of a sudden things started to look good until one day. I was ripped out of that career because in the building while working, I was lit on fire at 3,578 degrees Fahrenheit. And all of a sudden, everything I had worked towards was burnt to the ground. So I was left with an opportunity. Sit there and do nothing like I once did. Consume, drink, pop pills, eat terrible food. That is an option. It's always an option. The other option was build myself back up. They first told me, well, you're not going to move your elbow again. The scar tissue will be too tough. You're not going to have movement. Well, guess what? Fuck you. I'm moving my elbow fully. Zero loss of movement. They told me, well, it's a full thickness burn, you know. You're going to have terrible textured scars. Nope. Fuck you. You are putting limits on what I can do. I will not do that. And once I realize that I have no limits, if I am willing to just ignore what everyone else tells me and chase my own goals with some delusional self-belief, then I will obtain whatever I desire, which means you can too. But you just have to desire it so much that you're willing to give up everything else. Ignore the people that tell you relax, enjoy, go out and drink, go out and party. No, life is not about that. Life is about improving, finding a mission, feeling that ambition, and just chasing whatever you desire until you reach it, because you will if you believe. And if you don't believe, well, then that's fine. Because I gave up on myself. For years, I put that cap on whatever I was able to do, and I told myself, hey, you can't go over that. I mean, everyone else tells you this is the way it is, so you got to listen. Well, I am telling you that is bullshit. I believed it, and I overcame it. I took that fucking cap off, and I chased everything I ever desired, and I'm still chasing more and more. My goals are constantly getting greater, and I'm constantly achieving. What I want most, though, is to convince you that there is a life out there, a person out there that is so inconceivably better than you are today, that if you give up some small things, make some small changes, and implement some consistency, your life improves forever. If you write it off, okay, many people will, most people will. So the few that are still sticking around and thinking, all right, I gotta get the fuck after it. I gotta give all this shit up. Or I'm going to. If you're willing to say that, you're willing to make the sacrifice, in the end, it's really not much of a sacrifice at all. Understand that if you live the way you are supposed to live at the end of your goal, if you embody the persona of the person that is at the end of the goal, instead of trying to get up to that persona, you create yourself into the person that attracts the goal. You will achieve it. So you are that person. Think about your deepest desires, goals that you don't think are possible. Chase it, because you will obtain it. Stop putting that limit on yourself. You are stronger than you could ever believe. And while you're out there thinking about it, maybe wondering, maybe acting on it, I will be here, constantly putting greater and greater goals in my own path and achieving them so that I can prove to you, just chase your goddamn goal. And then create a new one and achieve that and the next one and build a life that others didn't think possible so that you can support the people you love and the ambitions that call to you. Don't give up. I believe in you. You are going to wake up every day and life is going to kick you in the nuts. It's going to be full of misery and pain. It's going to be brutal. The only solution is to put challenge and struggle in your own path every day. Because the fact is, if you put some voluntary suffering into your regimen every day, God damn it, if you start your day with that, then once you're faced with that adversity, your mind and your body reacts, because this is what the fuck we do. We go through pain. Most of us set desires in our future. We say, I want to have X amount of money. I want to get a raise to this amount. I want to succeed. I want to have a goal of getting to this weight, whether it's more muscle or less body fat. I want to be able to afford the vacation, the car. And we set these goals and we say, okay, well, this is how I'd get to it. We sit there and we spend time on Netflix, spend time playing video games. We don't get our goal. But when you implement the suffering, you realize that you just react and you act on it. Because once we set that desire in our path and we understand, okay, the path to getting my goal is going to take this. If you want to burn the body fat, you don't want to be a slob anymore, and you say, I've just got to do 20 minutes of exercise every day. And then the next day you don't do it. Well, that's because it is hard to exercise. There is suffering and discomfort involved in that process. But once you put it into your regimen every day, then the next goal you have The next goal may be monetary. You want to go on that vacation. You realize I've got to save money and I've got to build up my income. Well, once you've already got the process involved of suffering every day, you realize that maybe the Netflix isn't so appealing because it doesn't get me to my goal. And it just takes one step, one action of realizing the benefits of voluntary suffering to get you towards a goal. And realize you have that positive feedback, Luke, of holy shit. Holy fucking shit, I can do things. One of the most rewarding aspects of life is that realization moment of, oh my God, I'm better than I used to be, because we desire progress. We are evolutionary creatures that want to build and become. But most of us are spending our lives doing the exact opposite. We have some kind of input into what a business or some kind of career has growth and what that contributes, but it's not necessarily fulfilling us. It's maintaining us, maybe, but most of us feel misery. Lives are getting more miserable, but are having more systems implemented that make our lives easier. And all of a sudden, oh, we realize I don't got to go drive to get groceries anymore. Cool. My groceries just get delivered. I don't got to pick up food. Oh, people can just drive me around. And all of a sudden, these implemented struggles of life, tiny little things that you just had to do that aren't even seen as a struggle, all of a sudden become, ugh, I don't want to do it. It takes this out of me. I've already worked 9 hours today and my job sucks. My boss is a fucking asshole. I don't even have money to do anything. I can't find another job because the job market is shit. Inflation is high. Rent's too high. And holy God damn it, life is terrible. But the inevitable outcome of staying in that place is, if you're incredibly lucky, you just stay as miserable as you are. But chances are that you get more and more miserable and into a worse place because you aren't escaping that. And the very basis of escaping that is some voluntary suffering. My life changed when I chose involuntary suffering. And we've seen a resurgence of people desiring doing hard things. More people run marathons. More people run ultra marathons. More people are getting into the gym. More people are doing triathlons. They want the challenge because we're human beings that crave overcoming adversity and beating the difficulty. But still, people are in the trap. They're just sitting there. Everyone will say, I want this. Some people will take the first few steps. Very few commit long term, which is an opportunity for you to stand out and become an entirely different person that people do not think is even possible. And the difficulty will come when you have been committing for years to that person you want to be, and you have been implementing the struggle, and you've been battling, and guess what? People are still sitting there saying, why the fuck are you doing this? You've gotten nowhere. But there will come this one day. There will be this one day where everything comes together. All those sleepless nights, all that effort you put in, all that struggle every single day that you built yourself and you refined yourself into this person through that struggle, it just manifests into this individual that on one day, one occasion, it takes one win. Like that. That's when you win. That's when, while everybody was right, for years while you got nowhere, everybody was right, day in and day out. You're fucking doing nothing except for just putting yourself through struggle. And then that one win happens. And guess what? All of a sudden, they are all wrong. If you create your own struggle, then you'll be able to navigate through life. You'll be able to improve your life. The inevitable fact is that the suffering that life throws at you, that is unavoidable, dramatic suffering, death, loss of a loved one, sickness, disease, catastrophes, car crashes, fires, those are so much more painful than anything you implement into your everyday life. So if you aren't practicing, then when it does hit you, it's going to put you on your ass. If you have some kind of buildup, some kind of resistance, some kind of training, you'll at least be able to handle it better. And then those small things that most people just crumble from, you will handle them with the utmost ease. There is a version of you out there that seems impossible, seems godlike. It just takes you considering the what if. What if I just suffered every day because I chose to create myself into the person that wins? And once you get that one win, you've finally done it. It will happen if you just commit.